Although Goldie Hawn is in the business of making people laugh, she's experienced her share of low moments. Here's what's really behind Hawn's dazzling smile and comedic genius. It was a genuine moment when Goldie Hawn and Andrew Garfield took the stage at the 2025 Academy Awards to present the animated film honors before they got down to the job at hand. Garfield asked if he could tell her something when she said yes, of course. Garfield addressed her relationship with his late mom, Lynn, who died of pancreatic cancer in 2019, saying, "There's a person who gave my mother during her life the most joy, the most comfort, and tonight I feel very lucky because I get to thank that person from the bottom of my heart. That person is Goldie Hawn." But that night, Hawn was the one who needed support when it came time to announce the winner of the Best Animated Short Film category. She asked, "Okay, sweetheart, can you read that?" "I can't read that. I'm completely blind. I am," she continued with a lighthearted explanation, saying, "Cataracts." Hawn turned 79 in November 2024, and cataracts are common in people her age. Some of the symptoms are cloudy vision and night blindness, as well as the inability to see well under bright lights, like the stage lights at the Oscars, for example. But there's good news: the condition is treatable. The effects of cataracts can be temporarily controlled using magnifying lenses and prescription glasses during early stages, with surgery offering a more permanent solution. As a little girl, Goldie Hawn had no desire to be in the spotlight. In a joint conversation with her daughter, Kate Hudson, in an interview, Hawn confessed, "What I wanted in life was happiness, to be honest. And in my young life, I always read about how screwed up Hollywood was. I just wanted to be normal. I wanted to have a normal life." Hawn wanted to stay as far away as she could from the film industry, but it was only a matter of time before her dance career brought her to Los Angeles as part of the chorus of the stage musical, Pal Joey. Her career took off from there. But that doesn't mean it was all smooth sailing. In fact, Hawn found it hard to adapt to her new life, telling people, "I really didn't want to go outside. I really lost my smile. I didn't feel joyful. I was scared. I was afraid." And it wasn't anxiety. There were like panic attacks. Your heart would race. And sometimes you didn't even know when it was going to come. Over you to cope with the pressures of Hollywood and her sudden change in circumstances, Hawn sought help from a psychologist with whom she worked for 8 years. She speaks openly about how therapy helped her have a more positive outlook on life, and she's since used her platform to advocate for mental health care. As the founder of Mind Up, Hawn has 3 adult children, and she takes pride in being a great parent. Speaking with People, she admitted to being impressed by her children's parenting skills, saying, "My children are really great with their children. As a parent, you basically raise your children to raise their children appropriately as well." So that's the domino effect. Hawn walks her talk, but she's not perfect. She has a great relationship with her daughter, Kate. Her son, Oliver Hudson, talked about growing up with Hawn on a March 2024 episode of Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson. He shared, "My mother was the one that I had almost the most trauma about, interestingly enough, because she was my primary caregiver and I was with her all of the time." Oliver, who now has 3 kids of his own, went on to admit that he didn't entirely feel safe with Hawn, saying, "I felt unprotected, and at times she would be working and away, or she had new boyfriends that I didn't really like. She would be living her life." According to Oliver, his dad, musician Bill Hudson, wasn't always present in his life, but whenever he showed up, he made up for his absence by making sure they spent a lot of quality time together. Nevertheless, Oliver has a genuine rapport with Hawn and his stepdad, Kurt Russell. They've been moving in with them in 2022 while he renovated his home. For a long time, Hawn and Russell lived in the Pacific Palisades. Hawn loved living in Los Angeles for the quirkiness of its residents. She was particularly fascinated by the free-spirited people of Venice, and they're very happy to be crazy. Yes, that's what's so awesome. But while life in Los Angeles can be entertaining, Hawn also saw the other side of LA when her home was broken into. In an appearance on Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa, Hawn said that her home had been burglarized twice within a span of 4 months. First time she and Russell had gone out to dinner, it wasn't until it was time to go to bed that she realized something was wrong, she explained. "I went up the stairs and I walked into my closet and I just lost it. They had broken in from the balcony to our bedroom, our closets, and they completely knocked down my door," which is a safe door, so they are very, very sophisticated, "and they got a lot of my goodies." The second home invasion happened when she was actually in the house. One of the burglars was caught in October 2019 after Aventura County robbery. Hawn and Russell have since moved to Palm Desert. Hawn and actor Eileen Brennan co-starred in the 1980 film Private Benjamin, for which they both received Academy Award nominations. In the film, Brennan's character, Captain Doreen Lewis, gives Hawn's character, Cadet Judy Benjamin, a heck of a hard time in basic training. But the actors' long-standing friendship off-camera was an entirely different story in 1982 as the two friends were reportedly saying goodbye to each other after having dinner in Venice. Brennan was hit by a car and sustained major injuries. Horn was lucky the car missed her, but the driver filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the actors for negligence. He also sued the city, claiming they were responsible for the lack of proper lighting. Fortunately, the stress of the experience didn't come between Horn and Brennan, who remained close until Brennan's July 2013 death from bladder cancer. I'm being pummeled by my allergies. My back is in knots, and I've got an underwire sticking right here in my left one upon hearing the news. Horn took to X to share a sweet tribute, writing, "We have lost my old friend Eileen Brennan. No one ever made me laugh more. Now I cry. Please keep singing." Darling from on high. Rest Bill Hudson and Goldie Hawn were married in 1906, but their relationship was troubled from the very beginning. "This missing linked person is not my husband." Hudson and Hawn had 2 children together, Oliver and Kate, before calling it quits. In 1981, after the split, Bill began seeing Laverne and Shirley actor Cindy Williams. They were married in 1982 and went on to have 3 children together, but Bill didn't exactly create a blended family. He has a great relationship with 3 of his 5 children, excluding Oliver and Kate, to the point where he considers himself a father of 3. I think that estrangement is unfortunately quite common. And I think it's important for people to talk about that. In a 2015 conversation with Daily Mail, Bill claimed that the strain in their relationship was the result of direct sabotage on Horn's part, saying, "I call it parental alienation. We had a bad custody arrangement, but Goldie constantly flouted it. I'd turn up to see the kids and would discover Goldie had taken them on the private jet to her home in Colorado." According to Bill, the family situation wasn't always a source of strife. Shortly after he and Horn got divorced, he opted to live close to Horn, and the kids recalling, "I was a part of their lives for years. Kate and Oliver came over at weekends. There were family holidays, but at some point things went sour, and Hudson's not okay with it. Change your name to Russell. I'll throw a party for you." Horn and Russell share a son, Wyatt What Riot, who's married to actor Meredith Hagen, is a retired hockey player who's now pursuing acting. He and Hagen had 2 children of their own, Buddy Prine Russell, who was born in 2021, and his sibling Boone Joseph Russell, who arrived in 2024 when the massive Pacific Palisades fire struck California in January 2025. Hagner made a series of posts on her Instagram stories, letting her friends and fanbase know that she and her family had to evacuate their homes. Hagner wrote, "My little family is safe. Not sure about our house, but I'm so lucky. But man, do I love our special seaside community so deeply." Heart-wrenching, at the time of the wildfires, the entire Russell Hudson family lived in close proximity to each other. At the February 2025 Critics' Choice Awards, Hagner offered an update on their living arrangement, but Kate has been really generous. She has a very lovely house in Palm Desert. While they didn't lose their house to the blaze, Hagner and Wyatt's family eventually relocated to a rented house in Aspen, Colorado, in search of a fresh start, "'cause that's where I got my start in a cage on Highway number 4 in New Jersey at the Peppermint Box." Hawn started out as a go-go dancer in New York and New Jersey clubs. She made $25 a night, but believe it or not, it was enough for her to get by back then. In her interview conversation with Kate, she reminisces, saying, "I was able to make my rent with the 4 girls I lived with. It was a challenge, but I never once said one day I'm going to do this and that. I never looked at life that way. I just saw where I was and knew that I was going to continue to move on with my career. You don't go home again. You fight for what you believe in. It is nobody going to take care of you. You're going to take care of yourself." She was right. By the early 1990s, Horn had closed a $30 million deal with Disney's Hollywood Pictures division, but the rise to the top of the acting food chain came at a cost. Since her hefty salary made her the better-known and better-paid partner in her romantic relationships, it can undermine self-esteem, undermine sense of self. Paul was always an optimist, but in a guest spot on the School of Greatness podcast, she opened up about the problems inherent in the situation. "Back in the day, I remember thinking, well, we'll just put everything in a pot. We'll do this, and it'll all be cool." Horn identified the money that comes with fame as the thing that eroded the balance in her early relationships. You buy a house and they don't own it, or they own part of it, but not enough thing. Changed when Horn settled down with Kurt Russell, who's a movie star in his own right. The couple chose not to marry, but unlike some of Horn's previous romantic partners, Russell pulls his own weight financially in his prime. Russell earned a minimum of around $2 million per project, and in 1993 he was reportedly paid $7 million for his work in Stargate, after her work with Susan Sarandon in The Banger Sisters. In 2002, Horn took a break from the big screen while she was on hiatus. She took an interest in psychology, telling interview, I started learning about the brain psychology, and after 9/11, I decided, I know what I'm going to do. I ended up writing 2 books and creating Mind Up in 2017. Horn decided it was time to get back to acting, returning to play Amy Schumer's mom in the comedy film Snatched. Horn's comeback was appreciated by her family, but the same couldn't be said for the movie-going public given its star-studded cast. The film was expected to do well, but no such luck. Snatched failed at the box office, grossing just $19.5 million in its opening week against a reported $42 million budget. But the hits weren't over. Horn was nominated in the Worst Supporting Actress category at the 2018 Razzie Awards. He was up against Kim Basinger in 50 Shades Darker, Sophia Butler for The Mummy, Laura Haddock in Transformers: The Last Night, and Susan Sarandon in A Bad Mum's Christmas. The award, which is in no way an honor, went to Basinger.